Alright, story time everyone. We actually hit diamond on the mage, but my footage got corrupted. Classic, right? Trust me though, it was awesome. So, we run this banger build, the Mage's Spirit Bomb. We started with an absurd amount of buffs, then a Spirit Bells class gave us 35% for buffs at 4 seconds, thanks to the Crossblades effect. Then right at 5.5 seconds, our Happy Bomb went off, using all our buffs to deal one big blast. And after that, our Crossblades finished off our opponents. But anyways, let's jump into some ranked mage games and see what we can do today. We're starting off with a sack surprise. We do start off with Amethyst Steel and a puzzle box, which is really awesome. So we want to lean heavily into the Amethyst Steel to try and get as much in power as possible. So we're going to start off by grabbing ourselves a broom. Did we try to go for a shovel? Honestly, it's been a while since I did go for a shovel. So let's craft it up. If you want a piggy bank, maybe not be so greedy. I'll take a pocket sand since it is on sale, and I will roll once. Help pot I kind of do want to grab. But I also want the banana. Banana for stamina, I think I'm going to take. And I'm going to reserve the help pot for now. But yeah, this is going to be round 1. Might as well grab the shield since it is on sale. And we're going to move on with this. It shouldn't be too bad rounds having double weapons, 30 block from the very beginning. A little bit of sustain and also inflicting that blind. We are facing a ranger though, who has a little bit of luck increasing their accuracy. But we can definitely win out in the first round. We're just smashing. Although I could be even worse to bring it back, but a big old frying pan smash, hell yeah. Now we could actually go for a wolf badge. We could try to go for a big old busted blade with crazy ones, get lots of power. I think that might be a pretty decent play. So I will take it. And I do want to grab her wooden sword. And I want to grab ourselves that help pot. Which means I'm going to reserve this leather bag for now also. And I am going to venture on. Actually, I'm going to sell the shield to grab ourselves this little garlic. And then we're going to move on. Because we could get Smelly Wall with the Amethyst Steel, which will be pretty decent. However, we are going to begin an adventure with Shepherd's Crook. But we only have one weapon, which is pretty good for us. But that wooden sword is going to be doing a lot of damage. Going to begin a shields. We're going to be running out of stamina. We're going to be stacking up their spikes. And they also have a health pot too. So we're actually going to be dealing a lot of damage to ourselves with those spikes. We still have our own health pot. We should be able to trigger a wolf badge. And this shovel is going to be going insanely fast with Battle Rage, as well as our puzzle bag. And unfortunately, it's not looking too great. Our opponent just had way too much spikes for us to handle. Unfortunately. Now we do got a couple of options. We can go blood manipulation and go crazy with healing. We can also take investment opportunity. Since we're going to be using up a lot of buffs with the mage, we're actually going to be stacking up a lot of max life. But if we're going busted blade, we definitely do not want that. But we might not go busted blade. I'm still thinking about taking that. Let's grab our storage. I do want to find ourselves... Okay, puzzle bag of love. Do we really want this? Items inside heal for 20% more. We get more health from our health pot. I do want to roll looking for a broom, to be honest. I'm going to roll. We can also craft up mana pot as well, which I kind of do want to do. But I'm actually just going to take this bit of storage. It does give us puzzle bag improvements, which I do want to grab pretty badly. No broom though, which is a little less than ideal. We could also go for Shelly if we want to as well. And I think I'm going to sell our little pocket sand to add in another banana to help with our stamina. So yeah, I am going to venture on with this. So the shovel dug up a blueberry, which is kind of crazy. But with 2 bananas, we should be able to sustain our stamina just a little bit more. Also, increasing the shovel speed is going to increase the stamina cost by quite a bit. Yeah, 1.1. Which is kind of mad. Every 1.6, this is actually going to trigger. Usually the shovel triggers nearly every 2.5 seconds. Which is kind of crazy. And they do have a Shelly for a lot of heals that is going to go fast too. So we could be in trouble. Because they're stacking up a lot of power. They do have Mana Mastery as well, which is pretty darn decent. And we took a skill that doesn't really help us out right now, unfortunately. So yeah, we do end up falling short. But we got our broom. We also got our wands. Let's grab our puzzle bag of improvements. Let's sell our wooden sword and let's take our wand for now as well. Well, yeah, I'm going to be moving on. Now the thing is, all I want to do is find ourselves a mana orb, which is probably one of the big drawbacks of using the mage. I'm trying to find a freaking mana orb. If we get a staff, we get tons of max life with investment opportunity. But we should be in a better spot increasing speed on our broom because it doesn't actually... The same stamina cost actually does, but it triggers a lot faster so we can inflict our blind, decreasing that accuracy down to 60%, which is still pretty decent, to be honest. But it's looking a lot better. Our opponents could eventually pass out since they have so much heat. But they have 50% accuracy, and honestly, it's looking kind of scary. But smashing. We managed to get there in the end. Hell yeah. And we could just go for a double axe. Pineapple is also pretty decent. I think we grab our stamina sack, which gives another puzzle bag of love, which is more heals. We could be taking that, but we're not going to. We do get another amulet. Okay, double ounces of steel is crazy. Steel goober would go a long way too, but we just need to find ourselves armor. Maybe even heat stacking with a vampiric armor to get infinite empower. But then we kind of end up stacking up in power instead. Now, I'm definitely not jealous of this berserker having a magic staff already, which is kind of crazy. They're going to be blocking our damage, but they're not making as much use of their steel goobert. To be honest, they could have had their shields on their gooberts, giving more block overall. But it's going to be good for us. We're stacking up our blind, which is kind of amazing. And we already got 2 in power, thanks to our amethyst steel. So we should be in a pretty good spot. Allow us to get some items with our shovel as well. And we got our 10 mana, which means we're starting to get empowered too. We're looking pretty good. Smashing. We did get a rope pot. We also got a hammer too. Corrupted crystal on sale is kind of nice. Maybe we do grab that. I'll grab it for now. I'm going to grab it on our stamina sack and combine all the bags. Another puzzle bag improvements. I do like this bag a lot. Should we take it? I don't think I'm going to take this one. I'm going to roll. And I don't really want Mage's hat either. I'm going to roll again. Another rope pot is kind of crazy. Let's roll one more time. Now you do use mana, which is kind of nice. So we start stacking up a little bit of max life. I'm going to sell a corrupted crystal. I'm not going to take it. You know what? Let's take it. I changed my mind. Let's roll again. Dragon egg on sale for 5. Yeah, that's going to be worth grabbing. That's too good not to take, because that is going to be 4 heats. It's also going to reflect some debuffs, which should be awesome if we're going to begin a debuff stack and builds. But our opponent is going to have a lot of damage with a spear and a magic staff, so we could be in trouble. Also going to stack up luck with our toad, which is going to counter our blind stacking just a little bit. But can we still keep up? We did manage to get 3 in power, which is amazing. But is it really going to be enough to actually win out? The opponent does have 3 luck, and it's looking super close. And unfortunately, just not enough. Not ideal. Now, Encyclopedia Darkness. I'm going to grab. The spell scroll of Blessing and Purity, I will grab also. And I'm going to roll. And it's hard not to take the Badger. The Badger is a fantastic Spirit Companion. So I'm going to take it. I also want this bit of storage. I kind of want to take out a big old banana so we can have our spell scroll Purity in. And I do want this in also. Which means we are going to be running through our health a little bit. But we're also going to have our spell scroll Purity to try and heal us up a little bit. But getting our mana a little bit faster is definitely going to be worth it. So yeah, I'm going to venture on. That way we can start stacking up our power with our little wands a little bit easier. And we're also going to get 20 max life with the Spirit Companion every 3.5 seconds, which is kind of nuts. Definitely going to be nuts. So we should be able to get our mana. We should be able to use our wands. Also, we should have had this targeted one. That would be clever. That way we'd actually get a little bit of max life. I took the skill. I'm not even using it properly. But this time it's looking a hell of a lot better. This Badger, I mean, is going to carry us for the next couple of rounds. Because it's such a smash weapon. We have 200 max life compared to opponents 157. And 21 blind. Now, it's hard not to take the Spectromancer. We could just take the Rainbow Potion and just grab wands, or staffs, I mean. Which I'm thinking about doing. It is a bit of a gamble because we're going to get a random staff. We get a Jynx Staff of all things. Which, honestly, I'm down for. Especially with the Prismatic Orb too. Which means we're going to sell you, and we're going to sell you too. And we got to take our super long Jynx Staff. We're going to sell a big old banana so we can grab this too. And another puzzle bag of improvements. So yeah, I'm also going to want to take this help pot, and I will take another puzzle bag improvements, and I'm going to take that Prismatic Orb. But our bird, our Jynx Staff, is going to sit in here, and it's going to be kind of nice targeting all this stuff. And we are going to move on. We do have our investment opportunity in the right place right now, so we should be able to stack up a little bit of max life with our Jynx Staff along with our wands. And during Battle Rage, we're going to trigger this Jynx Staff insanely fast, speeding up everything, which should be kind of crazy. And you know what? This one is not even looking close whatsoever and smashing. Now, after 5 seconds, Badger Spirit Companion is going to trigger every 1.5 seconds, 1.5 seconds, and less than a second. Since we do have the puzzle bag, which is kind of nuts. And Staffire is kind of crazy. We actually could take the Staffire, since we do start off with some heats from a root belt. But it is only 2 times we scale up with our Sapphire. But it is a lot of buffs used. And a lot less mana. I think we take our Prismatic Orb for now. We take our Prismatic Orb so we can get a crap ton of mana. I don't really actually want this. I think I'm going to venture on once again. So this Jynx Staff should be doing a lot of work for us. It should increase the speed on a Prismatic Orb, but it is going to be relatively slow at the start. Again, after 5 seconds, it's going to go nuts, down to every 4.5 seconds, which is kind of crazy. We're going to get insane amount of buffs. And big old smashes. We got so much max life, it's kind of crazy. And hell yeah. And we also got our own Mana Mastery, which I do really want to take. Now, Blood Manipulation, if you got a Staff on healing, would be crazy good too. But Mana Mastery is just so darn good on the mage that we do have to take it. Now, I do actually want to grab this because I do want to go for a Vampiric Armor with double Amethyst Steel. Hell yeah. But I do want to grab this. I really want to place it in this position. And I kind of want our Prismatic Orb in the puzzle bag for now. But Mana Mastery here, trying to give us more mana. With a Mana Pot in it too, which you hear as well. And I think I might actually place this in this position for now, instead of one of our Amethyst Steel. Now, the Bloody Amulet isn't really going to do much for us, since we're rocking a ranged weapon. But if we do get a Vampiric Armor, it's going to go nuts. The problem is getting a Vampiric Armor. But I'm going to grab this Health Pot, and I'm going to craft up a second Mana Pot. But the Rainbow Potion does have to use 2 distinct pots, and we could also switch it around and have the potions underneath as well. But for the time being, I think I'm going to leave it this way. And I'm going to venture on. So after 20 buffs consumed, we do trigger this to get our potions. Which is kind of nice. Since you're going to consume debuffs, or buffs, we should be in a pretty good spot to activate a Rainbow Potion. And we got tons and tons of mana right now. So Prismatic Wand could actually go nuts here. But I don't know if I actually want that. Although, Cupcake Staff is kind of crazy. I mean, we could just go Infinite Heat stacking right now. Although, we're probably going to stack up mana. Well, we're going to take the Cupcake Staff, but we're going to take our storage first of all. We do get a Puzzle Bag of Ruin, which I don't actually want. And I do want to grab this Mana Orb also. And I am going to place it in this position for now. And I will be taking our Bloody Amulet also. Actually, we could place this up top in this position. Which I actually think I'm going to place in here, so we can have our investment opportunity tagged as well. So if you do get a big Mana Buff Bomb, it should be fantastic. But I'm going to venture on once again. We'll see how we get on with this. Can we get our big Mana Buff Bomb? Potentially, because if you get a big Mana Buff Bomb, we're going to use 35 buffs, which means a crap ton of max life. Which should be amazing. However, our opponent is dealing a lot of damage to us. And yeah, we do not survive, unfortunately. We did get our armor. We also got a Cupcake Staff. Do we get rid of our Jynx Staff? I mean, I'm going to take the Cupcake Staff because we want infinite mana to proc our Mana Orb to get tons of max life. We also really need our armor. I mean, for now, think about moving on with this. So our Cupcake Staff is going to use our mana to give us more mana, which means our Jynx Staff should be able to trigger a little bit faster. Yeah, I'm going to risk it. I'm going to grab our armor the next rounds, and we'll see how we get on with this. We're going to begin a double axe, which is going to be dealing a lot of damage. They're going to have lots and lots of damage reduction, and also block too. We should be able to get a big Mana Buff Bomb. We're at 500 max life. We have 24 in power. I'm going to start stacking up my power, dealing massive damage, and it's kind of exactly what I want. So it's looking pretty darn smashing. Let's grab our armor. Let's actually roll once. We want our storage. That is a freaking Mana Orb, which I do want to grab also. So we're definitely going to want this. We almost kind of want the Fanfare too. Is there any way we can take the Mana Orb right now? We could sacrifice something. We could actually just get rid of our Wolf Badge, but I do kind of like it. Increasing speed on our staffs. Jynx Staff does give us our increased speed as well, which I do like also. We could sell our Garlic and our Shiny Shell, and we can take this then. I mean, we could place it in here, and it's going to be in a slightly worse position. But we have the chance to activate multiple Mana Orbs, so yeah, I'm going to add in. We're going to get our Vampiric Armor, which should be amazing. We do start off with 3 in power, 16 mana, which is pretty decent. Doesn't take us long to activate our big Mana Buff Bomb. Give us our power so we can start stacking that up and deal some massive, incredible damage. Which will be amazing. Hell yeah. Just empower stacking like crazy. Now we do kind of want to take our Encyclopedia of Darkness. We also get a Cupcake, which is going to help stack up our Empower, which I do kind of like too. The problem with having too much encyclopedias is we're going to be run through our own health pretty fast. But since we're stacking up so much max life, I think we should be in a pretty good spot. Do we want the Cupcake? for even more power stack, and I do really like it, but it is pretty darn slow. I mean, we could take it and place it in here so our Jynx Staff actually increases the speed of it. So I'm going to roll again. Chariot Staff would be nice too. Also, this is a crazy bag to get because that is going to refund an insane amount of our buffs. I don't think I'm going to take the Chariot Staff. It would guarantee crits. We do some big damage. We would use up a lot more buffs, but I kind of like our situation right now. So I don't think I'm going to take it. As crazy as that sounds, because we're going to proc 2 mana orbs potentially. Well, we're definitely going to activate one. Maybe not the second one, but we're definitely going to get one. Unless we use our puzzle bag of energy on it to refund our mana buffs, and I'm kind of thinking about doing that. And we're actually just dealing some big damage. So we have a 78 DPS, which is actually pretty fantastic right now. As for heals, not a whole lot of heals, but as for block, about 200 block. 32 block per second is pretty good. So I do think we can actually make this a lot easier. So we do want this bag, and we want to figure out how the frick we're going to fit this in, because this is going to be a nightmare, especially the puzzle bag. Trying to fit these in, yeah, it can be a bit tough. So the layout we have right now is our mana orb sitting in these puzzle bags of energy, so we can actually get those to pop off. We're going to place this in here for now. And we got a bunch of bags that we do not have space for, so I'm going to sell these so we can grab another bag. We sell you. We could grab ourselves another armor, which honestly wouldn't be a bad show. We could take another bird, go for Prismatic Burb to chance to duplicate our buffs, but I don't really want that. We could take a lamp. Honestly, since we're buff stacking, a lamping is actually pretty decent. I'm considering very strong about taking the lamp. It just adds so much more damage. It will use up a lot of our buff stock. But since we're going to be mana buffing bombing pretty fast, I think it is going to be worth grabbing. And do we want to keep our wolf badge? Right now, our investment opportunity is probably in the best place it can be. We can also use this down below, and I think that should be pretty decent. It just gives us damage reduction when we drop below half HP. And we'll see how we get on with this. We are going to begin a cold stacking opponents. We do start off with 15 mana, and we should be able to generate our mana really fast. Our opponent is going to be stealing our buffs though, which delays our big mana buff bomb. We do get it eventually, and we're actually going to stack our mana again, since our opponent does actually just manipulate our buff situation. But it should give us enough time to potentially get a second one. What am I talking about? That's 100 cold on us. That is kind of absurd. Our opponent's got that much cold on us already, and unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to survive. With that much colds, our opponent is just going to whittle us down. Unfortunately. It is what it is. 170 cold is kind of crazy. We do have 800 max life, but unfortunately, yeah, we do end up falling short. Cold is a huge way we're going to actually lose. Also, our potion situation is pretty darn bad in this position. I'm going to gladly take that fanny pack. We can slot that down below. We can take another wand, which I'm going to. We can grab some stamina, which I don't really want to either. Now, another ruby egg we could take. I don't really want that. You're going to be more mana generation for us. I do like you a lot. You do use up our HP though. I'm going to take this fanny pack. Another puzzle bag of energy is kind of nuts. Hell yeah, I'm going to be taking it. And I do want to place it in this position really badly. Maybe we place it in here. Looking pretty good. We move you over slightly. And we move you up top because you're going to be a magic item. You're also going to be triggering faster with a Jynx Staff. So this is looking pretty darn smashing. Hell yeah. We also increase the speed on our armor just a little bit. We sell this bag. We don't want it anymore. I'm going to roll again. Staff on healing will be nice. I do like the staff on healing, but not in this situation. We're going to try to stack on power and mana. So yeah, we're probably not going to take it. We could also take the cheese for even more max life though. Yeah, I'm going to take the cheese. I'm going to venture on with this. We're stacking up so much max life, I think it is going to be worth it. We're going to begin another magical girl with a lot of staffs. They're going to be stacking up power with their spike staff. But we should be able to get our power a little bit faster than they can get theirs. So we can deal our big damage, and holy moly, that's some big damage. That's definitely some big damage. Grab our cheese. Potion belts, I'm going to grab it. The next question is, do we want a cupcake? Do we want a spell called Dark Frenzy? I don't think so. Another cheese I will gladly actually take. So much max life is going to be awesome. Now I actually really want to place this over in this position. Give us a little bit more space so our Jynx Staff can do a lot more work. We put in our cheese. Now it would be nice to place our food items a little bit better, but to be honest, in this situation we're going to get as much max mana as possible. And I think this should be pretty good. Yeah, I'm going to save our 2 golds. I'm going to move on with this. We should be able to get 800 max life. We should be able to get tons of power. We should be able to activate our big mana orb to get even more max life. refund a lot of that mana, which should be awesome, and get our second big mana buff bomb potentially. Although we're just getting our power, which honestly, I'm happy enough with. Since our opponent is actually going Turbo Shelly, we could be in trouble because that's going to be infinite. And unless our power does so much damage, yeah, we're not going to be able to keep up with Turbo Shelly. Unfortunately, Turbo Shelly is still pretty darn strong, to be honest. However, we could take a second lamp, which I'm down for. Take a set of blueberries. We're going to roll again. Another ruby egg would be nice. More battle rage. Honestly, it wouldn't be a bad idea. I'm not going to take it. We will take 50 more block. Let's roll again. And let's go. This is going to be a final setup. Is it going to be good enough? We'll see. I'm going to slow this one down. We are going to begin a big old berserker. Rocking enchanted weapons. Spike staff, magic torch, mana turrets. They're going to get lots and lots of damage. Gingerbread Jerry 2 to begin a lot of max life and lots of power. But we should be in a pretty good spot with our setup. We're stacking up our power. We're using our mana. We're getting tons and tons of max life. We should be able to use our lamps to give us even more damage, which should be even more amazing. And we'll see, because they do have a lot of damage reduction, lots of heal reduction. But we have so much max life, so much in power. I think we're going to be able to burst them down anyway. And you know what? Smashing. And power stacking looking pretty decent. Now we do end up with an 80 DPS, but our opponent had so much damage reduction. To be honest, they had insane damage reduction for such a long period of time. That 80 DPS going to begin his opponent is actually pretty decent. Our opponent had 50 DPS, and as for heals, yeah, we had no healing because our opponent had so much heal reduction. We did have almost 60 health gain per second, which is crazy. And then as for block, another 255 block, which is not too bad. Now with our Jynx Staff, we do trigger everything a little bit faster, like a Cupcake Staff was triggering every 0.8 seconds, Prismatic Orb every 4 seconds. It's not exactly heat stacking, but still pretty decent overall. But we did only survive 1 life left. Let's go and see just how much rank points we managed to get. +8, ranking us up quite a bit actually. But I'm going to leave you here for now. Just want to say thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, comment, or even subscribing. And I hope to go for the next one. I'll see you next time. Okay, we're back in some round 18 fights, and we're going to see how we can deal with some other builds. We are going to begin a Merchant's Serpent Staff with a perfect Emerald. They're going to be inflicting a lot of poison on us. But we're getting our power stacked up. We're dealing a big damage. We do a lamp. But can we still keep up? Because our opponent does have a lot of damage reduction. We have tons and tons of max life. Loads of damage. And big old smashers. Hell yeah. And actually, can we take a heat stack in Cupcake Staff? Double Cupcake Staff, lots and lots of heat. They're going to go infinite on heats. Are we going to be able to keep up with them? Because we're going to get crazy damage. And you know what? Actually beats heat stacking. Not too bad. And finally, can we deal with a big old busted blade with 100% crit chance? They're going to be smashes pretty quick, but we can stack up our max life insanely fast. We should be in a fantastic spot. And I think it's not going to be close. Hell yeah. I'm about to fade away, 'cause every time I wake up I feel like it's Monday. Something's going wrong with all the chemicals up in my brain.